بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وآله الطيبين الطاهرين لا سيما بقية الله في الأرضين أجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف. Alhamdulillah, we have tawfiq to continue our reflections on Surah Maryam, Salamullah alayha, and we were discussing the story of Prophet Yahya ala nabiyina wa alihi wa alayhi salam. We started with Prophet Zakaria, and then it led to the discussion about the birth of Yahya and the fact that Allah said, Ya Yahya khudil kitaba biquwwah wa ataynahu al-hukma sabiyya. And then
salah coming from the, I don't know where it's coming from. Is it from your computer?
Then we reached verse 13. So we resume from verse 13. وَحَنَانًا مِّن لَدُنَّا. Yahya alayhi salam had many good qualities which are mentioned, or at least some of them are mentioned in these verses. In addition to the fact that Allah gave him hikmah or nubuwwah while he was a child, then Allah says, وَحَنَانًا مِّن لَدُنَّا. So he was given a special kind of love, kindness, which was coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Min ladunna. Like dua of Zakaria that said, Habli min ladunka waliya. Because according to the normal rules of nature, there was no possibility of him having a child. But he asked Allah that from his side, from his nearness, give him a person who can inherit him. Here also Allah says, وَحَنَانًا مِّن لَدُنَّا. So we gave him a kind of love and mahabba from ourselves. وَزَكَاةً, a kind of purity. He was very pure, very much free from moral problems, impurities, deficiency, defects of the soul. وَكَانَ تَقِيًّا, and he was a God-fearing person, a pious person. So he was obedient to Allah. Zakatan is about his character, and Kana Taqiyan is about his behavior. You can say about his also character, but when it comes to the issue of obedience, to fearing God, to be obedient to God. So he had a special kind of love, a special purity, and was very obedient and God-fearing. وَبَرًّا بِوَالِدَيْهِ, he was also very kind, very benevolent with respect to his parents. When someone is with everyone, hananan, very kind with everyone, when someone is very pure, then when it comes to parents, of course, especially parents who were old, who were waiting for him for a long time, who are very good people. So there are all the reasons for him to be very kind with respect to his parents. وَبَرًّا بِوَالِدَيْهِ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ جَبَّارًا عَصِيًّا. He was not an arrogant, disobedient person. So in an affirmative way and in a negational way, in both ways, Allah is affirming good qualities and rejecting and negating bad qualities from Yahya. So we are dealing with someone that from his birth he was special, because his birth was a result of Allah answering to the dua of someone like Zakaria. And then all his life also he was a special. He was a pure, he was a kind, he was a God-fearing, benevolent person. Then Allah ends this discussion about Zakaria and then Yahya with sending salams to Yahya. وَسَلَامٌ عَلَيْهِ يَوْمَ وُلِدَ وَيَوْمَ يَمُوتُ وَيَوْمَ يُبْعَثُ حَيًّا. Normally when we send salam to someone, it's for the present time. Normally, we meet and then greet each other. I say Salamun alaikum. The other person says Alaikumus salam or Alaikumus salam wa rahmatullah. So it's for the present time, normally. But Islamically, salam is not just a kind of greetings, a kind of formal greetings. Salam is a kind of dua, and in particular dua and request for someone's peace and safety and security. Since it is dua, it can be made for someone who comes in future. From now we can send salam to him. It can be for someone who is in the present time but not with us, is absent. We can send salam to him. We can also send salam to someone who passed away. As a matter of respect, but also because that person is still alive and we wish him peace. For example, Allah said salam in the Quran to Ibrahim, to Nuh. Salamun ala Nuhin fil alamin. Nuh is not physically in this world anymore, but still we can send him salam and ask Allah for peace and safety for Nuh, for example. Now, what we have here is that Allah is sending salam to Yahya alayhi salam in three important points in his life. We have similar to this about Isa alayhi salam, but in the case of Isa, Isa sends these three salams to himself. Salamun alayya yawma wulidtu wa yawma amutu wa yawma ub'athu hayya. We'll talk about it later. But here is Allah about Yahya. Peace be upon Yahya the day he was born. That is the time you come to this world, and it's very a special time, and at the same time very worrying, very serious, very much concerning time. As a child, you are subject maybe to dangers, to problems. You are not familiar with this world. So Allah in particular sends salam to Yahya for the day of his birth. وَيَوْمَ يَمُوتُ. By birth, we move from one phase to another phase of life. From the womb of mother, we move to this world. By death, we go to another phase. We move from this dunya to barzakh. That is the time that the soul departs from the body, and we are going to say goodbye to our dear ones, to our life, to whatever we have done. So it's a time that needs peace, very much needs peace. وَيَوْمَ يُبْعَثُ حَيًّا, the day of resurrection, which is our final station before we go to hell or heaven. We will be resurrected. We will be alive again. We will be with soul and body, and we need peace at that time. So Allah offers peace in 3 important points to Yahya alayhi salam. There is a hadith from Imam Raza alayhi salam about these 3 points. Imam Raza alayhi salam is quoted as saying, إن أوحش ما يقوم على هذا الخلق في 3 مواطن. The most frightening, the most lonely time for people are 3 times. The day of birth, يوم يولد, وَيَخْرُجُ مِنْ بَطْنِ أُمِّهِ فَيَرَى الدُّنْيَا, is born, comes out of the womb and stomach of the mother, the belly of mother, and sees dunya. The child now can see the dunya. Of course, it may take some time that the child can actually see, but the eyes become open soon. وَيَوْمَ يَمُوتُ فَيُعَايِنُ الْآخِرَةَ وَأَهْلَهَا, and the day that he or she dies and would see the hereafter and people who are there. So day of wilada, day of maut. The 3rd, وَيَوْمَ يُبْعَثُ حَيًّا, the day that the person is resurrected alive. فَيَرَى أَحْكَامًا لَمْ يَرَهَا فِي دَارِ الدُّنْيَا. Again he looks, after birth he looks at the external world. After death he looks around in barzakh. After resurrection, looks that there are laws and rulings over there which are different from dunya. يَوْمَ يُبْعَثُ حَيًّا فَيَرَى أَحْكَامًا لَمْ يَرَهَا فِي دَارِ الدُّنْيَا. He would see ahkaman, kind of rulings that he didn't see in dunya. وَقَدْ سَلَّمَ اللَّهُ عَلَى يَحْيَا فِي هَذِهِ الْمَوَاطِنِ الثَّلَاثِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent salam to Yahya in these 3 positions, situations. وَآمَنَ رَوْعَتَهُ, Allah made his fear go away. فَقَالَ وَسَلَامٌ عَلَيْهِ. When Allah offers salam, therefore the other person feels safe. So this is the significance of these 3 points. Now let us a little bit, as I promised, I said we'll have some discussion about Prophet Yahya. Let us a little bit expand here. We already mentioned some of the qualities of Yahya, being from a very religious family, being from Zakaria, and a mother who is also religious, coming from the line of prophets, from Prophet Dawood, Prophet Sulaiman, etc. And his birth is miraculous. Another quality of Zakaria is that he was very much detached from dunya. He had ascetic life. This is very similar to Prophet Isa alayhi salam. And also he didn't marry. He was Hasur. He didn't marry like Prophet Isa, who didn't marry. And they have family relations because they are cousins in a sense. Because mother of Lady Maryam, which will be grandmother of Jesus, and mother of Yahya are sisters. Imam Hussein alayhi salam also had some similarities with Yahya. So Yahya has some similarities with Isa and some similarities with Imam Hussein alayhi salam. For example, in hadith we find that Imam Hussein alayhi salam on the way to Karbala, in every place, every manzil, every station, he remembered Yahya alayhi السلام. خرجنا مع الحسين بن علي عليهم السلام فما نزل منزلا ولا رحل منه إلا ذكر يحيى بن زكريا وقتله. He wouldn't stop or start moving unless he was mentioning the killing of Yahya ala nabiyina wa alihi alayhi salam. Also, Imam Hussein alayhi salam said, وَمِنْ حَوَانِ الدُّنْيَا عَلَى اللَّهِ أَنَّ رَأْسَ يَحْيَى بْنَ زَكَرِيَّا أُهْدِيَ إِلَى بَغِيٍّ مِنْ بَغَايَا بَنِي إِسْرَائِيل. One of the things that shows that dunya is not that important for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that the head of Yahya ibn Zakaria was gifted to a person who was not modest. A bad person was gifted with the head of this great man, this prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the same way that Imam Hussein salam was killed and he was beheaded and his body was sent to Ibn Ziyad and then Yazid, Yahya alayhi salam also was killed and his head was separated from body, etc. And the story is this. There was a person in charge of Palestine. And this person, when his brother died, married to the wife of his brother. And his name is also Herod. Let me give you the exact name. Herodis. So he married the wife of his brother. But then his wife or his brother and now his new wife, they had a daughter, Herodia. And she was, beautiful. And he then fell in love with the daughter of his brother and his now new wife. So this becomes like a Rabiba, the daughter of your wife. Also, this is daughter of your brother. So is niece and Rabiba. It's haram. But he wanted to marry her. There are stories here that how even the mother, according to some stories, even the mother was encouraging her daughter to attract the king towards herself. Anyway, when the news reached Prophet Yahya ala nabiyina wa alayhi salam that this person wants to marry his own niece and daughter of his wife. He said this is not permissible according to Torah. According to the law of Torah, this is not possible. So the king got upset. Then this young girl tried to persuade the king that if you want me, you have to kill Yahya, because he is objecting and he has made our story being spread and people criticize us, etc. You have to gift me his head. In some reports said that he was once drunk and very much persuaded, etc. And he commanded that Yahya alayhi salam being killed and the head be brought to the same majlis of haram that they had, singing and drinking, etc. This is why Imam Hussein alayhi salam says that this is min hawan ad-dunya ala Allah. This shows that how insignificant is dunya from a godly perspective, because imagine someone like Yahya with all his great qualities has to be killed and then his head be gifted to such person. No one should be killed because of someone wants to do mischief, let alone a prophet who had no sin, who didn't say anything wrong. He just said that what is the ruling of Torah. So it is said that then after that they had a punishment from God, and many people were killed by someone who attacked them, who was not a good person, Bukhtun Nassar, and killed many people. In one hadith that I want to mention, it is said that when they saw many of them are being killed, they went to a very pious person who also maybe was a prophet, that why we are losing so many people. And he said, because you didn't do nahya anil munkar, you kept silent, you didn't support Yahya, and then because you didn't do anything, you are responsible. So I want to tell you the exact Arabic text that we have. Yeah. So they went to the prophet Ermia and asked him to ask God why many people are being killed. And it was told, قُلْ لَهُمْ رَأَيْتُمُ الْمُنْكَرَ فَلَمْ تُنْكِرُوهُ. You saw munkar and you didn't condemn, you didn't prohibit, you left Yahya alone, neither before killing nor after killing of Yahya. You show no reaction. When azab comes, it would even come to the people that maybe they were not with the side of mischief makers, but they were believers who didn't bother, who kept silent, who didn't do amr ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar. In some reports it said that there was drop of blood of Yahya alayhi salam coming from his head that was not stopping and drying. It was just coming, like you know, like a fountain that, just it's, like water is coming out. But here blood was coming. And they were not able, they were putting, soil, it was not stopping. And when Bukht al-Nasr attacked and asked about this, then he asked people to be killed and put upon this. He was not, as I said, he's not a good person. But he punished these people. From behind the scene, you could see this was punishment for their own action. They didn't do Nahy al-Munkar. They deserved some punishment. But who is going to give punishment? Punishment can be coming by natural catastrophes, can come by a war, can come by attack, whatever. It doesn't have to be something especially coming from a sky, like, for example, some stones or things like this. So, the killing of Yahya and killing of Imam Hussein alayhi salam are somehow similar. Imam Hussein also stood for Amr al-Ma'ruf and Nahy al-Munkar, and his head was gifted to a bad person. And then after his martyrdom, many people were punished. This is why Imam Hussein in every manzil was remembering Yahya alayhi salam. Also, it is said that in some reports, these are not in the Quran, these are reports that you find in the books of history or hadith, that head of Yahya also spoke, like we have in the case of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. When it comes to some of these qualities of Yahya alayhi salam, Mufassirun have some detailed interpretations. I mentioned some of them. For example, we said zakatan, hananan min ladunna wa zakat. He was pure. Some people say this refers to righteous deeds. Some people said it refers to sincerity and obedience. Some people say kindness to parents. Some say having good reputation. Some say that his followers were pure. But it seems that they are all included. It's general purity. It's not purity just in action, purity in, relation. It's generally pure. So we don't need to restrict it to particular type of purity. Okay, we already talked about some other aspects. Now we start the third story, the third part of the surah, when it is about Lady Maryam salamullah alayha. And this surah is named after her. And the
question.
Pardon?
May I ask a question before you go ahead?
Yeah, I finish in 5 minutes. If you can wait just 5 minutes, I will finish, and then inshallah Q&A. The relation also is clear because Zakaria is related to Lady Maryam, plus Zakaria became guardian of Lady Maryam. Then it was in one of the discussions and conversations that Zakaria had with Lady Maryam, after seeing that every time when he visits her in Mihrab, has some food that he was inspired to pray for having Zakaria. هُنَالِكَ دَعَا Zakaria. So the story is very related. Zakaria, Yahya, Lady Maryam, Isa alayhi salam, these four are very closely connected with each other. So now it's very natural to start the discussion about Lady Maryam salamullah alayha. وَاذْكُرْ فِي الْكِتَابِ Maryam. In the beginning we had ذِكْرُ رَحْمَةِ رَبِّكَ. ذِكْر is the root for أذكر. Remember or mention in the book the story of Maryam. But a story of someone's life has different phases. Which part of the life of Maryam? We don't want to start discussing the life of Maryam from beginning to the end. The part which is referred to here is إِذْ انْتَبَذَتْ مِنْ أَهْلِهَا مَكَانًا شَرْقِيًّا. It was the time that Lady Maryam salamullah alayha left her family, her ahl, towards a place which was sharqiyan. Sharqi means eastern. This place was eastern. So some people have said it means that it was towards the east side of the place of worship. You can say the masjid, the ma'bad that they were worshipping, towards the east side of it, where sun is normally rising, is called sharq, because ishraq means to illuminate. So mashriq is where light is coming and illuminating and spreading. Maybe it was eastern part of her home. For example, the place that she was living, either inside the temple or her family home. Or even some people say, like Ayatollah Mishkini, eastern side of Baytul Maqdis, Jerusalem. So then it means that we are not talking about eastern part of the mosque or home, we are talking about the whole city, going towards the eastern side of the city, and maybe even outside the city, when the people of the city were seeing the sun is coming, it's their sharq. So she wanted to be far from people, even family. فَاتَّخَذَتْ مِن دُونِهِمْ حِجَابًا. Although she was always, with hijab, with proper dress and, ritually, covered. But in addition to that, because maybe she wanted to take a shower, she wanted to be not disturbed by anyone, she put on also a kind of curtain, a kind of veil, extra veil. فَاتَّخَذَتْ مِن دُونِهِمْ حِجَابًا. This is not her hijab as clothes. This is hijab in the sense of a barrier. It's something like a curtain, a clothes that would give her some privacy and no one would be able to see her. So فَأَرْسَلْنَا إِلَيْهَا رُوحَنَا. At that time we sent to her our spirit, maybe Jibreel, maybe Ruhul Qudus. We sent Jibreel, suppose we say Jibreel, inshallah we talk about it more later, but not in the form of an angel, because if it was an angel, she could not see an angel with the physical eyes, and she could not also, have conversation with Jibreel with the mouth and ear. Allah sent His spirit, for example Jibreel, with the form of a human being. Tamathul. Tamathul is different from tajalli. It's not manifestation. It means that something which is immaterial may take the form of something material and be present among people of dunya. Angels have this ability that they can take form of a human being. They can take even form of animals. For example, like a bird. They can take the form of a bird. They can take the form of even, for example, maybe a lamb, maybe a deer. The only thing that they cannot take form of is إلا الكلب والخنزير. They cannot take the form of dog and pig. Jinns can take the form of a human being, or animals, or birds, and even dog and pig. حتى الكلب والخنزير. So, tamathul is different from tajalli because it's taking a physical form, and it's different also from transformation. It's not that the angel was transformed into a human being. Like, maskh, for example, that a human being can become an animal. It's not transformation. This is just taking an appearance and a form that is physical and remaining in essence the same thing. Therefore, it's not the same as other human beings. And even an angel, when it comes in the form of human beings, it's not like a human being. And this human being that was, appearing to Lady Maryam Salamullah alayha was sawiyan, was a human body which was complete, not just, for example, head or head and neck and shoulder. No, it was exactly like a human being in a complete form and shape, appeared to the extent that Lady Mary thought that might be actually a man, a stranger man there. But of course, the appearance is appearance of a pious person. Because the angels, when they take the form of a human being, there must be, a special reason that they don't take this face of a pious person. Maybe if, for example, they want to come for azab, maybe they take a form of, I don't know, an arrogant and tyrant person, to frighten. But this was very nice looking, very pious looking person. But still is unknown to Lady Maryam. And she is also worried that shaitan and nafs ammara can always come in between two strangers, two na mahram, one man and one woman. So we need Allah's protection. قالت إني أعوذ بالرحمن منك إن كنت تقيا. This إن كنت تقيا is very interesting. If you are God-fearing, if N is shartiya, is for condition. If you are a God-fearing person, be aware that I am seeking refuge from God. So if you want to do any harm to me, you are facing problem with God. We are not alone here. I am under protection of God. Mentioning of God and isti'adha, which is very important tool, make any person with a little of taqwa, a little of faith, a little of fear from God, extra careful. Some people say, قالت إني أعوذ بالرحمن منك, and if you are muttaqi, go away from me. So they say something is meant but not mentioned. It's muqaddar, mahdhuf and muqaddar. If you are God-fearing, you go away. But maybe there is no need to say like this. Maybe we can say, as I said, that if you are a God-fearing person, I am seeking, means be aware, I am seeking refuge from God with respect to you. So, this was the natural response of Lady Maryam Salamullah alayha, who is a very pious, very modest lady. Inshallah, we will talk more about the story of Lady Maryam Salamullah alayha, the response of that angel, and what is going to come in this position, this situation. We'll talk inshallah about it in the next session, bi'idhnillah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen.